Welcome back to the park that should really have a name by now, but still doesn't. Today we're going to be working on the actual park instead of only the entrance. It's only episode 3, so we're definitely 100% on track finishing this before Planet Coaster 2 comes out, I swear. I was... yeah, somebody in the last video, I can't remember their name, I'm gonna look it up real quick right now, but they kind of put me back on track, put me back in reality, and saying like, well, you say you don't want to theme this too much, but that ship has already sailed. And time is going to be an issue here, and yeah, it is. So to... let me check. Captain 4318, thank you for that reality check, because yeah, realistically this is gonna be a tight one. However, it is still, as I'm recording this, September. Planet Coaster 2 is only coming out in November 6th, I think. So hey, we still have an entire month and we're already on episode 3, so who knows? We're actually doing quite a bit on the entrance today. About half of the, I want to say boulevard, I think that's the best description of what it is. Like the facades on the side are going to be done by the end of today. As well as a bit of the other side of the lake, Laguna kind of area. You guys might have spotted a tiny little sneak peek in the last episode of what's to come, and if you didn't, that's completely fine. I'm doing a little live section at the end of this episode to take you through it, but basically at the end of last episode I did some off-camera work, kind of building the basis of the other side of this area. Now I wanted to try and incorporate some of the facility buildings in this side of the park, because to be fair, from a game perspective, I always forget them, and also from a realism perspective, I always forget these kind of things exist. Stuff like guest services, a first aid building, which I'm building right now. It's the kind of stuff that's not really glamorous to build, or not really glamorous to incorporate, but it's still, well, every park needs it, that's for sure. But it's also a way to kind of, well, I guess you can make it interesting, so to speak. As with this park right now, like the first aid building you're seeing right now, I tried to make it into this little facade, make it look part of the main building, main style of the area. But it still serves a purpose as well, instead of just being another restaurant. So that's kind of a nice challenge to set yourself once in a while. I'm also going to try and make this look sort of like an old magical kind of, well, potion shop. I'm leaving a lot of the decorating, as in like the detailing with like little trinkets all around. I'm leaving that to the end. I'm going to do that all in one go, because otherwise it's going to be a real nightmare to kind of keep up the consistency. And after trying to make a custom sign for a while, I just give up here and end up using one of the original in-game pieces, but not before adding some text on the front of the building with the classic like decorative, I genuinely don't know what it's called, like the words on the beams. A lot of the old, well, I say potion shops, a lot of the old shops, especially in movies and television, have these. And here you'll see me ending up using a little sign from the game itself. I do replace that again with the previous construction, but yeah, it's always... I tried making a little first aid icon out of wood pieces, but it just did not look right. So I just end up putting this like kind of wooden building on there and calling it quits. Building sign. Now, I wanted to name this place after someone that was actually the first commenter on the first video of this series, and also, again, my first video on Planet Coaster. RCM the second. He left a really nice comment on the first one, and it was really encouraging. It kind of felt... it made me feel a bit giddy, so to speak. Just so you know, this account, I think it's public information on the YouTube page, but it was created somewhere in like 2011, 2012, because I, as a very young child, wanted to be a Minecraft YouTuber. So I made some Minecraft videos, and they are private, but if they ever do become listed again, please don't watch them. They are not worth it. They are awful. But it did kind of kickstart the dream of doing something with YouTube at some point. And it kind of got me back to that feeling. It's getting me back to that feeling, because every time somebody comments on one of my videos right now, it's giving me this kind of giddy, like, oh, somebody commented, like, feeling, and I'm really thankful for that. So everybody who's watching, everybody who's following this series, thank you very much for coming along for the ride, looking at me playing a game, which is still kind of weird to think about. Now, to those of you watching, let's get back to what we're actually building. I wanted to try keep the facades kind of differ in height, give it a bit of a skyline effect, and this piece with the white door, like I think it's called no, it's not a bunting. Those are the string flags. I'm not sure. That the white door with the castle wall piece. I've been playing this game ever since it came out, and I don't think I have ever used that piece, nor have I ever seen it. So it was quite surprising to look through, like, the way I build these buildings is I just look through the list of scenery pieces, find a piece that I want to start with, and kind of base it off of that. Which is also why some of my buildings look really cobbled together, because they genuinely are, which works great for this style, I guess. But yeah, I genuinely never used that piece before, and I didn't know it existed, so it's amazing to me how this game, after so long, still manages to surprise me once in a while. So this tower is going to be a little makeshift lookout tower. I end up using one of the in-game pieces, quite large in-game pieces, as the top piece. It's the little surf shack kind of thing, which usually I try to custom make stuff, but for this, if there was one area that I've ever built in this game where that piece was going to come in useful, it was this one. And I didn't really know what to put on. Here you'll see me trying to put on a crane, which just does not work out. So I end up putting on this little hammock kind of shack with a little pirate in there, kind of pulling the colors through to the wood around it and making it into a little, well, yeah, like I said, makeshift lookout kind of place. Maybe it's a story about a guy who couldn't find a home, decided to build one on top of this tower that wasn't really used anymore, and everybody just went, yeah, okay, fine. Now, in a sort of quest attempt thing to keep the magical side of this area somewhat showing through, I decided to add these pipes on top of the apothecary. Is that the word? The ancient timey word? I think it is. With colored smoke coming out of it. It looks a bit, well, not steampunky. It looks a bit too modern, to be honest, but it does sell the vibe. I decided to just slap some vines on it and call it a day. But I'm noticing that I tend to go into the pirate theme a little too often. And yes, the bright colors make it look a little more playful and a little more, well, childish even. A little more magical, a little more fantasy-like. It's not the real grimy, heavy pirate stuff you often see with like old brown woods and crossbones everywhere. But I do have to force myself sometimes to remind myself that we're doing this magical area. It's like a town with magical roots. So how do I make these buildings look magic? That's something I'm still kind of trying to work out. I think I said in the first episode but I'm not sure. I wanted to try and make this project with as little Thememakers Toolkit pieces as possible. That is a nightmare of a sentence for me to say. And I am doing that. I'm using mostly Planet Coaster pieces, but I think I am going to add some more in there. In a bit you'll see me add a few vending machines, which are from the Thememakers Toolkit, and I think I might add some small pieces, for example some potion bottles or something into the game, to add as decorations to make it look a bit more magical. I am gonna use more of the gems. You'll see me use a few of those. You saw me try to use a few of them just now in the toilet sign. But I'm also going to use a few on the roof of this next building. And I really think I need to use those more, because those really give it the idea of this kind of wealthy, magical town. And I know it's cliche to just slap gems and diamonds on thing and say, ooh, magic. But it does kind of work. So I get why a lot of mainstream media does it. So I think I'm just going to do that as well. And go do a few passes over all the buildings and add in a few, well, gems, just magical little hotspots, details, to kind of make it look like, yeah, this is a place where magic happens, I guess. Now with this, I felt like I wanted to try and add some more jutting out pieces into the facade, not just have block after block after block. And I also wanted to try and make a few buildings that are not quintessentially like pirate themed, so to say, kind of leaned into the fantasy aspect a bit more, which is why I went with the giant roof in here. Now these colors are going to change 20 times throughout this build, so don't get attached to them. But with this, I did feel like it felt a little too fairy tale-y and a little too realistic. So I wanted to try and add some details to the roof, kind of, yeah, give it a bit more ornate kind of feeling. Now, at the beginning, I just added some slats, and I thought it looked decent, but it also looked really boring, and I just didn't like the look of it. So I decided to add a bit more detail in the form of this sort of, yeah, I don't know what to call it really. It's this like wood pattern with, like I said, the gems in the middle. And I think it does a really good job of differentiating this, well, kind of played out by now Planet Coaster aesthetic of the fairy tale theme, which we have had for a long time. And it's a great theme, don't get me wrong, but I think Sylv said it as well in one of his more recent videos. After so long a time, you just get used to seeing the same pieces over and over again. You kind of start recognizing pieces, even though they have been used in different ways. And I'm trying to, well, I'm trying to differentiate most pieces I use in some way, shape, or form, even if it's just a tiny thing like putting on the blanks and the details I'm doing right now to hide the fact that it's just an in-game roof. Because I really don't want to make custom roofs for everything. I don't have that good of a computer. But in this way you kind of differentiate the roofs from their original in-game pieces, while still kind of fitting them to the theme as well. I'm not really sold on the roof yet. I'm genuinely, to be honest, I'm not really sold on this building as a whole, so I'll leave that for you to judge as well. But I wanted to try and get some buildings that didn't look like they were cobbled together from wood, which a lot of them do, and that's what you're gonna get when you're building like a pirate shanty town. I can't talk today. That's what you're gonna get when you're building a shanty town. But since we're building this magical shanty town, I wanted to try and get some magic in there as well. Now, I wanted to try and read some comments as well, but I just opened the last video and oh my god, it's you guys are commenting like crazy. So I'm gonna read those as we speak. Yeah, again, Captain 4318 said I want to try not to theme it too much, in quotations. that ship has sailed. It has. I'm in denial for that. I really want to try and tell myself that I'm going to finish this, so I'm going to be saying stuff that makes me believe I'm going to finish it. Meanwhile, I'm just gaslighting myself. D4NC Germany, beautiful start. Would be happy to see more of your building skills. Well, I hope you like what you're seeing now. I like how the entrance has quite a unique vibe with a mixture of styles. Mineral Junction. Thank you so much. That's amazing. You are very talented. It's amazing to see how many new Planco creators I still discover after all these years of the game being out. The thing is that I've been playing this game ever since the alpha as well, and I just never really thought of doing the creator side of things. I've just been building stuff. I've had a few creations on the workshop that a lot of people downloaded, so I guess you could say that kind of, in that way I showed my skills, or I put my skills out there instead of it. I really don't want to say skills because I'm not as good as like a Silverette or something. I'm just doing stuff. I'm figuring stuff out as well. But I guess in that way I kind of did put myself out there. But other than that, it just also took me like a really long time to start creating. So if there's anyone watching this thinking, hey, I'm building stuff in Planet Coaster 2 as well. I'm playing stuff in building stuff in Planet Coaster 2, not TWO but TOO. And I want to try and start uploading videos as well. Go for it. Like, just sharing the stuff out there is kind of cool. Also, just for me, like even if I wasn't uploading this video, say I just was recording this from my own archive or something, just talking about what I'm doing kind of makes me reflect on what I'm doing and learn stuff as well. And also seeing stuff for the second time being built as you're not building it yourself is also a really humbling and well, it's a really teachable moment. It's an experience you learn a lot from. So if you do want to start creating stuff, do it. Other than that, what hotkeys do you use to rotate? Okay, I'll answer that because I can't I can't check the stuff right now. But I'll go back and answer all the comments because wow, you guys have been busy. The videos themselves have been doing crazy well for my expectations as well. Just the second video just broke 350 views. I've gained like 50 subscribers in the past few days. It's amazing. I really did not expect this, and I know a lot of people say that on YouTube, but I really didn't. I was just kind of forcing myself to build stuff in Planet Coaster and record it and talk over it so I could get used to that for Planet Coaster 2. And I did not expect the project to gain this many viewers, so thank you guys again. Now, getting back to what we're actually looking at, I wanted to try and split up this area into a few levels because I think that's what I myself do wrong very quickly, where I tend to just leave everything flat. Not that weird, since I'm from the Netherlands, everything here is flat, but even in our parks we do force ourselves to have some elevation, and that really does help with well, part of it is forced perspective. I think it makes it look a bit grander if there's like a boulevard area in the rear, which makes it look like there's some height difference. But it also just splits up the paths nicely. Even the big path I have right now, the ground floor path, so to say, it has to be big because this is a place where everyone is coming in and where everyone is going to be going, and there's going to be a lot of people in here at the same time, so it needs to be grand and big. But I do really want to try and break it up because as of now it's also quite a big slab of just, well, path with nothing on it really. So in putting in the elevation, I'm trying to kind of avoid having the same problem for an even bigger scale. Just adding the buildings on the ground floor would have made it even wider, even grander, without really having a... Well, I think you're losing a feeling of coziness, so to speak. Especially since the scale I'm building on is well, it's not tiny, but Planet Coaster's scale is huge. So in this game, the scale I'm building on is pretty tiny. And with that, you don't want to go overboard with the well, with the scaling of stuff and also not with the openness of stuff. Now, what I'm not going to be building in this episode is the right half of this Main Street facade, nor am I going to be building the lighthouse we talked about. That is a project which I'm currently making sketches for, taking some inspiration again from Toverlands, but trying really hard not to just rip off Solaris. Or is it Solis? I'm going to look it up right now. I think it's Solaris, yeah. Trying really hard not to rip that off, but doing something similar with just this one big lighthouse that's kind of looking out over the entire bay, and also can form this kind of weenie to the park. It might even be part of the logo or something in the end, which I do. I told you guys I'm gonna do visuals for the windows. I haven't done those yet. I literally got home after the weekend, started playing the game, and started recording. Maybe I'll do those in like a separate video or something, have a little time lapse, or take you guys through how I make custom visuals for my parks, because I think those really add a little bit of detail that, well, it was RCT 3 as well with the billboards that really allowed you to personalize your builds without downloading custom content. It just allowed you to do so much, and I think them adding the billboards in Planet Coaster was the biggest, for me it was the biggest thing, because I remember them adding those and all the different variants, the screen sizes, the video walls, lit, unlit. It was amazing, because it really does allow you to, in a way, kind of create custom content just on the go with your own visuals. Now, with these restaurants, I'm really not sold on this building. I think I go over it in a little live section as well, but I'm not sure of this building yet. This might be completely torn out and replaced by the next episode. Or maybe it might be completely altered, but I wanted to have some sort of little recessed restaurant. I did fibble around with the signs for a long time, which didn't really lead to something. So let's just cut that out and jump to the part where I decide to change up the sign and swap it for a window and add some detailing, because that just looks way better. So this place is gonna get a name eventually, and I'll make some cool sign for it, but I'll have to think of the name, and it's probably only gonna happen once the building is completely done. Now, I try and finish a bit of the pond with some rockwork and some fencing. And it'll also give you a first little look at the bridge I already built, which also is gonna need some more detailing. I was mainly just trying stuff out, and this is kind of where I landed on. Ooh, there's a little sneak peek of the other side. Now, one thing I wanted to touch on is the ropes I'm currently connecting. This is a very small example of what I really like to do, and that's trying to connect different facades. I haven't really done that in the entrance building, but just putting different facades next to each other really makes it look cobbled together, and I think by adding some simple things that kind of connect those facades, you kind of really create this, you create the illusion of this just one big building that kind of encapsulates it. It makes it feel more lived in as well. Like I said, the little shack with the guy who wasn't allowed to build a house somewhere else, and he just decided, well, I'm gonna tie my shack to your chimney. You know, it's a little kind of environmental storytelling things that I really like to try and mess around with once in a while. Now, after this, I think the live section is coming up. It is. So again, thank you for watching this third episode already of the park. Leave your park name suggestions in the comments below. Because I genuinely don't still know, and I really need to start putting something else in the title. And I'll see you guys next time, where hopefully we'll be finishing this area of the park, adding in the lighthouse, and start work on a very, very pretty coaster. So yeah, on to the live section. So I kind of teased it at the end of the episode last time with the little cinematic shots where you could, I believe nobody saw it, but you could see the water coaster kind of peeking over the edge of the facades, and you could see the bridge I'd already put in place through the entrance. Now this needs a lot of work. For example, this rockwork needs a lot of attention, and it needs way more detailing than it currently has. But it is the framework of what I want to add in this area. And this coaster is also pretty much done. Now the reason I did it off camera is because this took a lot of trial and error to kind of get to a scale and location layout that I wanted. I wanted this to feel like kind of an upgraded log fume, so to speak. Now this part is still way too fast, as you might have seen. So that it all needs some reworking. But let me take you through the initial concept. There's going to be a small little station here, probably decorated as... I'm tending towards going to an indoor area, kind of similar to the Vliegende Hollander in the Efteling, with just a row of facades kind of as like a seaside boulevard on this side, and just having a big show building where the coaster resides. Then it drops into this canal where it'll have a sort of... Well, I don't think I want to make it a dark ride. Maybe only the station and this last little bit will be like indoors. And this monstrosity, which I'll get to soon. So this will be outside probably, going up a little lift hill and having a little coaster element. Now I think this is like 5 meters tall in the game. So this is junior coaster all the way. It's really family oriented. It just does a little loop-de-loop, probably around some scenery pieces. Maybe it'll have some decorations, some animatronics, something like that. And then it goes into what might look like the most deformed piece of track ever. Now the idea of this is that it's an elevator. So in the end, this part will feature some kind of blackout scene, probably with cubes and maybe the daylight cycle thing. It'll go into a dark room right here, stop, in quotation marks. Then you'll hear some noises, which I'll probably add with some triggered speakers, and then you'll end up here, which should give you the illusion of traveling up a vertical elevator and getting dropped down. I want to kind of encase this in some sort of tower and have dramatic opening doors at the top, so that you're confronted with a light all of a sudden once you're up here. You can see it's really, you get pushed out really slowly. So the idea is that it's an elevator. And then it does one simple little cornering maneuver, goes over a hill, and then it has a splashdown. Or it will have a splashdown, because right now it's just getting launched into the brakes and the drive wheels after it. And then it returns back to the station. Now, I made sure to put in a lot of block sections, but in a way that it does run through smoothly most of the time, just so I could have a few more boats going around, seeing as it's a replacement for a log flume, which often has a giant backup of boats ready to depart. Now I might extend this part a little, because I feel like it's coming into this area with a lot of speed, and it doesn't really justify the time spent on the elevator to just get dropped down, have a corner and a hill. So I might add in a little helix that goes this way and then comes back over to the hill or something like that. But I really wanted to add some sort of water ride in here. I feel with all the likenesses to Port Laguna we have in this area, the reason one of the things I don't get about Port Laguna is why they didn't have a water ride there. It's the most perfectly themed area for some sort of water ride. It doesn't even have to be like a rapids or something big like this. Could be a small like flat ride which is themed to water. Like, think of the I don't know what it's called, but like jet skis in Movie Park Germany, which are situated next to like a pier area. It's just a perfect match. So I really wanted to add it in my version. Same with a fountain show, which I'm going to put in eventually, but I'm really doubting if I want to do that myself or just grab a blueprint off of the Steam Workshop, because I really don't want to mess with display sequencer until we get an updated version in Planet Coaster 2. So yeah, that's what I've been working on off camera before we recorded this episode. Now, as for the buildings, you can see I finished a few as of recording this. I might go and finish the rest, which in that case you'll already have seen it, so I don't know what I'm talking about. I really wanted to try and get the whimsical vibe going. With this, I try to get a sort of more classic fairy tale kind of magic building in there, making it unique with the what was that? Making it unique with the decorations on the roof. I feel this needs a bit more tropical vibes going for it, I guess. I've been trying to do that mostly with like the vines growing over everything and having these ropes and these planks, ropes and these planks going all the way, going all over the place, attaching to different parts of the buildings, and kind of giving it the shantytown look we were talking about last time as well. Same with this building. I'm not. This needs more detailing. I'm just not sure what to do with it yet. I especially these areas with the planks. Maybe I'll replace the planks in its entirety because I'm not a big fan of it. Oh shoot! Now I can't click. Okay, I'm gonna. There. That's the tree we're selecting. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the planks. So maybe I'll cover them up and they'll look better, or maybe I'll just replace them outright. And for these buildings, I'm not sure what to do yet, but we'll see what happens with that. Now I tried to add a little vending machine area because it's kind of this little realistic touch where, of course, vending machines are ugly to look at and they don't fit any theme particularly well, except for maybe like a city theme. But realistically, there would be vending machines all across the park, and especially in areas like this where maybe it's busy in this in the restaurant. Maybe the restaurant is closed because it's a less busy day. You'd still want people to buy stuff, and that's where vending machines come in handy because you don't need staff for it. You can just provide them with power, restock them once in a while, and they'll make you money passively. So any park realistically would put in vending machines, and I've seen a lot of these like groups of vending machines around parks lately. So I really wanted to add that in. Also, something I'm trying to do, I did this in the first episode, but I wanted to touch on it. I made this Hat's Fantastic only sell the pirate hat. Now I think you can't see that on my recording. Yeah, no. But it's only selling the pirate hat right now, and I want to try and, if we do end up making some more themed areas, and they differ a lot compared to like the magical port town kind of vibe, putting in different hat stands really makes it believable that there's like different areas where different souvenirs are sold, because it wouldn't make sense to have people walking around this park with like a sci-fi hat on. I don't know where I saw it. I think it was somewhere on Reddit where somebody suggested that, and I really thought it was a nice little touch, so I'm gonna try and put that in along the park. Now, as for plans for the next episode, I want to try and continue this wall. The big, lighthouse, the beacon, so to speak, is probably going to be situated around this area. Maybe I will try and incorporate it into this ride. Maybe even theme the ride to the beacon, or maybe something that has to do with the beacon and the lighthouse that surrounds it. Or maybe it'll be a bit more on this side and it'll be like a bit more of a central thing. I have thought about adding in a flat ride along with the tower, but the only real contender, is it this one? No, the smaller one. There's a smaller one, right? Hyper jump. Yeah, the only real contender would be the hyper jump, and I think it's just too big to realistically, like, having to completely encase this in a lighthouse would make it so massive compared to the rest of the town and the facades. It just wouldn't be realistic, so I'm not going to do that. Maybe I'll try to put it in like this, have it be underground and just stick out a bit as a small drop tower kind of deal. think Dragon Watch in Toverland. But then again, to have it, it would probably have to be like this big, and I just think it's too big to kind of incorporate realistically. So maybe I'll have a look at it, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll stick in something else at the bottom of the lighthouse. For example, this could be the, I don't know, the engine that's powered by the internal beacon, stuff like that. But have some sort of flat ride incorporated into it, because I really want to add at least one flat ride in here. I have thought also about adding in the dark ride we were talking about, probably in this area, but I'm kind of wary of putting in a giant show building here, because you're looking at it straight from the parking lot, and I know it's just the parking lot you're looking at it, but still it doesn't look great. So I want to avoid Pandadrome situation, or no, what is it called right now? Fabula, is it called Fabula right now in Efteling, where it's just this giant green box in the middle of the park, and it's really ugly to look at, and they haven't even tried to hide it. So I want to avoid that situation. Now that's it for today, I think. Next episode we're going to be finishing this area finally, and we're going to be starting work on the coaster. And we're gonna be moving on to the next area, which is gonna be this entire part. So yeah, it's some people have already commented on the previous episodes. It's the scope of this is completely unrealistic the way I'm doing it right now, but it's okay. I'll manage, or I won't, and I'll cut down the park like here, and it's like, oh, this is what we did. We finished it. Good, right? We'll see what happens. Thank you guys for watching. I'll leave you with some glamour shots, and I'll see you in the next episode of the park that still doesn't have a name yet. Goodbye.